Joe Biden has just landed in Tel Aviv, Israel, in what is expected to be one of the most important international visits so far in the conflict, certainly, and most definitely in President Biden's career as US President. Remember, the big pressure on President Biden has increased exponentially in the last 12 hours since the bombing of the Al-Ali Baptist Hospital in Gaza, in which there have been mass casualties. International pressure is increasing on Israel to effect a ceasefire and stop airstrikes, even though Israel has outrightly denied the Hamas's allegations that airstrikes caused the bombing. Remember, Israel has blamed Hamas and a misfired rocket for what took place, but the onus is going to be on the man who has just landed in Tel Aviv now. Because President Biden has not only been cautioning Israel against a ground operation, but is himself under enormous international pressure to bring this conflict to a close. He has a huge dilemma right now. On the one hand, he cannot be seen to be anything but supportive of the Jewish state and its right to defend itself after the massacre of October the 7th, in which 1,400 Israelis and people of other nationalities were massacred in the biggest ever terror attack on Israel by the Hamas terrorist group. And on the other hand, Biden, whose own image for his re-election campaign as president next year is as a stable, sober world leader who will not get the United States embroiled in another global crisis. He's already facing pressure over US involvement and aid to Ukraine. And now, if the Israel-Gaza conflict expands beyond just Israel-Gaza, it's going to be seen to be on Biden's watch. And remember, Biden's America provides Israel with enormous amounts of aid. Many of the weapons being used in Gaza are American-supplied weapons. And therefore, America and Biden cannot extricate themselves, no matter how hard they try, from what is taking place in the aftermath of October the 7th. Air Force One, that Boeing 747, has just landed at the Ben Gurion Airport in Tel Aviv, Israel. He will be received by Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel. They've spoken 6 times on the phone so far in the last 13 days. The United States, remember, under Biden, the president has sent 2 aircraft carrier battle groups into the Mediterranean, the USS Gerald R. Ford and the USS Dwight R. Eisenhower carrier battle groups into the Mediterranean, a massive, huge show of force in support of Israel. At the same time, Biden, who is arguably the world's most powerful world leader, has also cautioned Israel against a ground operation without an effective ground strategy. The dilemma is very real, both for Israel as well as for Biden, because at this moment, President Biden knows his meetings are going to reflect that dilemma. How to bring about a closure to this conflict at this time, at a time when the Israeli public is completely in favor of retribution, war, and a hunting down of Hamas operatives in Gaza and around the world. We've just had a conversation with the spokesperson of Netanyahu's Prime Minister's office in Israel, who says, we're coming for you. Israel is not in any mood to soften, to back down at this point of time. And the man who's just landed in Tel Aviv, the world's most powerful politician, is cautioning Israel and is under pressure to somehow or the other visibly bring about some kind of a ceasefire. Can Biden stop the airstrikes? Can Biden formulate some kind of a path ahead for Israel where retribution is still factored in, where Hamas is still made to pay for its crimes, especially since countries like Qatar, Turkey and Iran continue to protect the Hamas leadership? Or is this going to be the long haul? Let's be very, very clear. And Nabila continues to be with me on this story. We'll be joined in a moment by Gaurav Sawant on the ground, our amazing warfront reporters on the ground. That Joe Biden's nightmare, even as he climbs down from Air Force One, Nabila, his biggest nightmare is going to be if this entire conflict expands beyond Israel and Gaza. If it expands beyond Israel and Gaza, the United States will have no choice but to get involved. Because if it expands beyond Israel and Gaza, it means Lebanon, Syria, potentially Iran and other countries will be embroiled in a brand new Middle East crisis, the likes of which this generation has never seen. And it means pushing America into another war, something that the US public has absolutely zero appetite for at this time, especially after what has happened in Ukraine. So the man who's going to be climbing down those stairs right now has a huge burden on his shoulders.
Absolutely, Shiv, and it has come as a big blow that Joe Biden, who was ideally to be visiting Jordan, meeting with the Egyptian president as well as the Palestinian Authority president, that has now come as a huge setback because all the world leaders, at least those of the Middle East who he was supposed to be interacting with, they've refused to meet him, saying there's no point of a discussion right now. All one needs to do is stop the war. And they have declared 3 days of mourning post the Gaza hospital attack that killed 500 civilians. So it appears for Joe Biden, this first visit into Israel surely is significant, but has also come in line of a setback with that Jordan visit being cancelled.
Definitely. Jordan, remember, the Kingdom of Jordan, there was supposed to be a bilateral visit right after Biden's visit to Israel. He was supposed to hop over to Jordan, which, as you know, shares a border with the West Bank and Israel. That meeting has been cancelled. Obviously, Jordan is much more sensitive about its relations with the Arab world right after what happened in Gaza City yesterday and the bombing of that hospital. The ceremonial welcome now for Joe Biden is set to commence. That's the stairway for the Air Force One has been lowered, and Joe Biden will be there very, very shortly. Remember, Biden was here last time, 2 years ago in 2021, I beg your pardon, and his visit now comes just days after his Secretary of State, Anthony Blinken, was in Israel as well as Jordan, widely seen to have been a visit that didn't quite, manage to achieve any sort of peace or toning down of the aggressions and hostilities between Israel and Gaza, and especially between Israel and the Arab world, which has been something of a pet project of the president. Benjamin Netanyahu on your screens with his entire team, the senior leadership of the Israel government, all on the tarmac on that red carpet, waiting for President Joe Biden to walk down that stairs. This is a visit that could be make or break as far as hostilities are concerned, viewer. The most powerful man in the world arriving in Israel, one of the United States' closest allies, Israel, a recipient of the US's maximum amount of aid, military help, assistance, intelligence sharing, 2 aircraft carrier groups in the Mediterranean assisting Israel in intelligence gathering as it investigates the October 7th massacre and terrorist attack by the Hamas terrorist group. But even for all of that, what happens in the next few hours will be decisive, because there are only really 2 options at this point of time. Can Biden in some way create a path towards a softening and a toning down of tensions? Thousands have already died in Gaza, including the hundreds who were killed yesterday at the Al-Ali Baptist Hospital in Gaza City.